Hello, and welcome to the DM's Book Club, a weekly book club podcast where we talk about some Dungeons and Dragons and discuss how we might include them in our role-playing campaigns. There was a lot of head bobbing and then ended up with like some finger tapping. I like it. It was very, very cool.
That's doing my favourite 90s mum dancing to Frozen by Madonna.
Right. Anyway, nice. There's a lot
Very
of
particular type of dancing, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Fiona, and with me, as always, is my well-respected, first and foremost, co-host Hamilton. Hello, Hamilton. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. Hello. I'm very good. How are you? How are you doing?
How am I doing? Yeah, we're doing all right. It's been a little while because obviously you've been off on your hollybobs, and I've been in the weeds of trying to get editing done. It feels like Fiona is the mayor of editing town, I'll be honest. Coupled with some very fun streams, don't get me wrong, but every so often I wake up every day, oh, what have I got today? Maybe nothing on? Nope. I've got these things on, which is fine. Thank you, past Fiona. I'm very pleased that you're doing well, but good God, present Fiona is knackered as a result. But yes, time of recording, it is the 5th of June as we're recording. And we thought for this episode that, because it's been a little while, and, you know, rather than like try and read like another 20 plus page PDF, or be like, look at this Unearthed Arcana that's come out, because I saw some even more Unearthed Arcana.
They're unearthing so much Arcana.
It's like, God, it's a proper mining operation. Yeah, stop. You've dug too much. We thought we would talk about just as a catch up, really, because it's been a while since, like, what we normally, like, there's a peek behind the Zoom curtain, as it were. We normally have a chat for about 20 to 30 minutes, just catching up and warming ourselves up, because when we record, it's pretty early my time, so I am like, blah, and then Hamilton's like, come on, have your tea.
Wakey.
I scream into the void. But we just have a quick chat and just catch up with each other, and then we go to record. So we thought, why don't we just do that online? That's content.
Well, we have important things. I have like we have topics that we brought to the table.
It's not
so
just like, how are you, and like a big moan, and then it turns over to, and now you, a big moan. Absolutely. I mean, the moan cast is definitely going to be.
We did that on Monday.
We did that on Monday. Yes. Yeah. Another peek behind the curtain. We always have a quick catch up of the week to be like, about whatever happening in the week, so that we're not moaning unnecessarily on recording. Hamilton, what is it that we're talking about today in our sort of like cool DM's book club catch up?
Well, it's cons and fairs, isn't it? Because I was at very like last minute at UK Games Expo at the weekend. I went on the Saturday. I got up pretty early, get on a 2-hour train, which is like, I was in near Shrewsbury, but it's just British train network. To drive would have actually been quicker, which is ridiculous. It was a 2-hour journey there and an hour and 45 back, and to the other side of Birmingham. So that's kind of ridiculous, but it would have taken me an hour and 15, hour and a half to drive it, but whatever. So I still don't get it. But anyway, so I went to that, and I had a really great day. And I saw lots of really cool people, and but I had a couple of test games. In particular, and more relevant to DM's Book Club, was the new Warhammer The Old World role-playing game, which is, if people don't know, but people will know from our DM's Book Club, we talked about Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, which is the original OG role-playing game for Warhammer Fantasy games and from Warhammer Fantasy Battles. And then people may know that they killed that setting off. They then came back with Age of Sigmar, and for that there is a TTRPG called Soulbound.
Yes,
which you might know about. And then for 40k, there's been, in the old days, Dark Heresy, Rogue Trader, and then more recently, Wrath and Glory, and the Imperium Act Dictum. But now Games Workshop came out and said, look, we killed off the fantasy setting, but we want to bring it back and bring back all those models again and reprint them, do a couple of new models. It's gone so well. It's been one of the most successful games, I think, I've heard, and it made them the most money, I think, in the first year it came out of all of their systems, which is quite incredible. And it's going from strength to strength. And they've just re-released. If people ever played Total War Warhammer 3, there was a place called Cathay, which had never been given a model. It had only been ever written about, but never given models, which is sort of proto China influence. They've actually come up first time just for this system with them. But anyway, my point is, Old World is set in the fantasy realm, 200 years earlier than when it was last around, but they've taken this opportunity, and I think it's a really good opportunity to not just go, here's a setting book for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, so you can play in this era. They've gone, well, there's a new game here. Why don't we have an opportunity to make a new and different and alternative system for the same, basically, setting?
Wow.
And I can't really think of another game that does that, apart from something that's had a sort of 5e, they've gone like Lord of the Rings 5e, One Ring 5e or whatever. But if we ignore those, there's not many settings where you can be like, I'm playing in exactly the same setting, but here is a different, and not like Warhammer Wrath and Glory and Imperium Maledictum, where one is I'm playing Space Marines and the other is I'm playing normal people. So you're not technically you're playing basically the same classes and have the relatively similar stats and are existing in a very similar world. Well, the same world, just slightly different timeline.
That's
but there's
so
a completely different background system to it, which I think is very cool.
That's very cool.
It harkens back in my mind to the difference between AD&D and basic D&D. And I think that's kind of what they've brought back. And I really like it.
Oh, cool.
Because weirdly, I started a series, like looking at different things, ways to play Warhammer. I never really got further than just doing Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. But when I was researching it, I was looking like you could use different systems because it's a really adaptable game that has loads of different things that you could use. Like you could use Vampire the Masquerade because there's vampires in it. You could use D&D if you want. You could use Powered by the Apocalypse. There's a really good system for that. You can use Mort Borg, all these things. But having an official one where it's like, they've gone like, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay is clearly crunchy. It uses a D100 system, which is very intricate. It's got loads of rules, loads of optional rules. We loved all that stuff about it.
Yeah, it builds up on it. Yeah,
it does. And it's great for like 5-year-long campaigns. Oh, I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
I've got a character sheet right here for
my God.
I got to play a rat catcher.
Firstly, hooray for Ratcatcher, but also, it's one page. Oh my goodness, it's
one page. And Fiona, there are some super cool things on this page.
Okay.
I'm going to save one of the most crazy things till last.
Okay, all right, I'm sat down.
But the first thing is, you instead of having basically 10 or 11, depending on how you count them, stats, you have 8 stats now.
Okay.
So they've kind of got weapon skill, ballistic skill the same, strength, toughness, initiative, and agility all the same. But they've now got rid of dexterity and intelligence and willpower, and then put willpower and put agility is now all round. The thing I always said I liked about it was the fact that agility did have different dexterities because if you're an artist, why can you backflip? But they haven't got that anymore. They've just got one agility. Reason then sort of carries both memory and willpower. And then fellowship is still there, but that it also includes leadership and charm as well, and sort of charisma.
Great. Okay.
But what they've got is those 8 stats are then given a single digit number instead of a 2-digit number for your D100. And so those actually count for a dice pool. So I have between here on my page between 2 and 3. So I get a D10 dice pool. So for example, weapon skill, before I would have like a 35 and then I'd have to roll my D100. If it was a normal roll, I'd have a plus 20, so I'd have to roll under 55. I rolled under, I'd succeed, and then by how many 10s I succeed, I get success levels.
Oh God, my eyes are glazing over, remembering that horrible book. Yes, absolutely.
Exactly. Well, so it's like weapon skill is like, I've got here weapon skill, and then I've got 2 sub abilities that have another number which tell me what I need to roll under on each of those D10s. So weapon skill, I've got 3 D10s. Melee, I have a 5, so I have to roll under a 5 on 3 D10s. And how many times I succeed is how many successes I have.
Oh, I see. So you roll the 3 D10s, and it's per die. Not, you don't add them together. Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. Okay.
I've never seen this before, because normally it's a D10, you have like, everything's a base, a better, like get an 8, get a 9, get a 10, and you get different successes.
You have like a dice pool of these 6s, and it's like 6s are full success, 4 to 5, mixed success, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So that's really interesting. I guess, because it feels a bit more swingy, because you could have, anyway, I'm thinking of like Vampire the Masquerade is the only one I really know that uses D10s, pools D10s, and they have like, but that is like, higher numbers are better, but then too high number on a certain dice is really bad. Yeah, exactly. Interesting.
And it's really good because it's really visually simple to understand compared to doing that maths in your head, which even gets crazier with injuries, because when you do injuries on that, you have to flip the numbers round. So if you've got a 45, you go 54 to figure out where I've hit. And you're like, it's great and crunchy, but this is just like, I can visually see I've succeeded on 2. And melee stays the same of like, you then have a defense roll, and and actually the same for shooting, you'd make it a defense roll as well. So it's just quite simple. If I've got more successes than them, then I win. There's no AC. There's nothing else like that. You just both roll in any event, depending on what it is. If it's that kind of like, obviously, if you're doing like casting a spell, you just have to roll your willpower, and if you get at least one success, you do well, and then it has benefits for magic for if you do more successes.
Oh, cool.
But there's no like, sometimes there's no saves for them. Sometimes there are for like an agility save or whatever.
Sure.
But it's really simple in that. If you're doing damage, it gives you a damage for your dice. So if you do more successes than they succeed on defense, then you hit. And then your damage number is the number for the dagger. So I've got a dagger here which says +2 or 2+, and then it's plus how many successes I had. So say I got 2 successes, I get 4 damage. Which is kind of cool. And you can get additional dice by like concealing your dagger. So I'd have 4 dice to roll for my weapon skill. So they're using this really simple system, really adapting it loads, which I quite like. The craziest thing though, Fiona, is
I'm sat down.
There's no such thing as hit points or wounds or anything in this game.
Wait, what are you talking about? We endured so much from both playing the game and reading the game about those. Wait, what do you mean there's no hit point? What do you mean there's those? What do they do instead? That's
exactly
wild. What?
I know, it's wild, right? And I think it kind of like the way they've done it is like, oh my gosh, we've been living under this illusion of hit points for so long. Why have we like, we've all like kind of made a social contract to believe hit points are a thing. I did a little video for this for the channel just to do a thing for Warhammer to update on it. And I was like, it's like, the thing that really gets me in D&D is you can be like a level 1 wizard, and because you get shit hit points, you could literally just trip over a stool and die. Do you know? Because you could take 1 damage and you might only have 1 hit point. They've still got fate and resilience, but fate now means both fate and resilience, which is kind of luck dice.
Right,
and resilience is your armor class, basically. But what it means is I've got a 4 here, and it means if someone attacks me and I take no more than 4 damage, nothing happens. Okay?
Oh, yes, yeah.
So I can get hit, and even if it does 3 or 4, if it meets, I beat it, sort of thing. Then nothing happens. But if they hit me by more, I get staggered. That's what you get. You get staggered.
A condition. Yeah, sure.
There's a condition, but there's no like hit points. And if you get staggered twice, then you go prone, and then from prone you can get a wound immediately from any attack. So there's kind of like these things. And staggered also means you can't like you can't advance in that turn, or you know, there's certain things you can't do.
You've got limited options when you're attacking.
Yeah, but it still means there's no particular. But if I do get over 4, if they hit me with a 5, then I roll on an injury table immediately, right? And that injury table is quite long. I didn't get to see the whole thing. They just told me to roll on it, so I'm a bit annoyed. But what I gathered by talking to the guy that was delivering the GMing it for me, he was saying like, well, so once you've got an injury, you then +1 to your next roll, and then when you get 2 injuries, you +2 to your next roll, until you get down the list and you realise that at a certain point, death becomes a roll. And then at that point, it becomes more obvious a roll. So it might be, I don't know what it is, but let's say there's 20, you roll a D10 at the beginning, but then you get D10 +1, D10 +2, D10 +3. And I think by the time you hit 15, then death is an option. Sort of thing. So you technically do have hit point, but it's not an inevitability. And it's like, you might not be dead. You might then go into sort of like unconscious. And then there's a couple later, it's death. So but I love that because it's actually like how Wolfram is, which is you should be accumulating injuries until you die.
Yeah.
And I like the idea that you could just keep on going. Like you could keep rolling low and just be like, I've broken an arm, I've broken a leg, I've got one eye, I've got like my nose has fallen off, I've got chaos corruption all over me, but I'm still here.
You're the Black Knight from Monty Python, like, come on, I'll bite your kneecaps. Yeah, absolutely.
100%. And I love that about it. And I think it's such a wild take, but I'm like, so cool. It's really, really cool.
I really like that. It makes it so simple that it's gonna be a fun injury. It reminds me a lot of like the panic tables and stuff like in Alien, where like you roll a d6 plus your current stress level, and like obviously the more you get, the worse it is, and it affects other people. So yeah, I quite like that. Yeah, God, it makes it so simple. Like, of course, if you get hit, you're gonna get injuries instantly. You're in the old world, you know. That's sort of that thing. Yeah. Oh. So talk to me about like what, because this is the thing. I never really, I'm a very bad con person. I never really go and play games. I find it the most awkward thing in the world. I've run
Oh, yeah.
games, like I've gone, but because I assume this was like at the demo table,
Yeah.
thing. So run me through. What exactly did you do? What
Well, this thing,
happened?
it's the only one I wanted to try because it's on my radar. And
Hmm.
I actually got a little bit of a head into it because very kindly Ed Spence gave me a tester guest session of the
Ah,
game he's working on, which is Armored Clash by Warcradle. So I plug it for them.
yeah, yeah,
But mutual friend of the show.
yep.
And yeah, so I thought, okay, what I did is I just turned up. I was on my own at this thing. I went to
Mm,
go see 10 other people, but no one else. I didn't go with anyone.
sure.
So I just went out down there and literally I was waiting and watching. Just it was by the sales point there, and I said, "Oh, can I have a game?" And literally as I turned up, four other randos together. They were all together, turned up and said like, "Oh, we can have a game." And it's like, "Oh, sorry, you go then. I'll go later." No, we can fit five. So we all sat five around the table, and the GM sort of just sits down and says, "Okay, like, nice to meet you. What's your names?" Do the whole thing, and then it was like, I'm going to play you a section of a scenario. I'm just going to give you the intro of where you've been, what's happened. So it
Hmm.
was you knew a guy called, I think they called him David, and then the guy in the group called him French Dave. Like that's what his name became.
David,
Yeah,
amazing.
David. So like he was we were in Bretonia, I think, because
Right.
one of us was a Bretonian knight, which is the Proto-French sort of area, or Breton area. Yeah, so we had to go save French Dave from a cult in the forest who have been like sacrificing people
Mm.
who are
Hmm.
visitors who get trapped in like who go through the forest to travel to these two towns. They keep people get disappeared, and it turns out they've been using them, and we found out where they're hiding. Then you've gone to the town, you've figured it out when they've locked you inside a windmill, and
Ooh.
not in a no, the windmills they locked you inside a barn, and the town is all outside, and the elders shouting, "Just offer one of you up, and we'll let you all go." So the others go, and then so
Uh-huh.
we've got to figure out a way. So me as a rat catcher and this other guy were like trying to sneak out the back by breaking out through the back because I had exceptional hearing as a rat catcher. You get exceptional hearing somehow. And so I could hear they were outside. And then one guy was a wizard and he just opened the door, charged out an electric and like brought lightning down on the elder, which imploded him basically with one shot. And so they just went, "Oh, all hail you." We were obviously like, he pretended he knew the god that they were supposed to think. Turns out they weren't gods. They were just beast men in the jungle with the forest that were trying to like
Yeah.
take that were trying to kill them. But we go get French Dave. We have a lot of fun. We leave the village to the beast people whilst we fight our way out, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it was quite good. The combat is I can't remember what other system I've used that has this. I feel like because One Ring's got sort of forward, middle, and back, but I think it's
Yes.
Blade Runner. Because I probably that Blade Runner where you have like, and other games where you have like zones, and so it
Mm.
created. You draw a map, and he drew this map on a piece of A4, and it was like, here's one zone, here's another zone, and drew like five sort of amorphous zones,
Yeah.
and then your range is determined on how many zones away from each other you are. So there's no measuring in feet and inches. It is literally like you are near, which is in the same zone, close, one zone away, short, sorry, close is in the same zone, short is one zone away, medium is two, and long is three, and far is four, or something like that, you know. And so you get different ranges for things. And movement is you can move one zone at a time. You can move anywhere in the zone, or you can move at least one zone. And if you move in one zone, you're charging, which means you can do additional benefits of attacks and stuff like that if you're
Oh, okay.
particular
Yeah.
characters. So there's kind of benefits from being in different zones. Yeah, and it was it worked quite well. And you could, for example, like what was quite nice is I had a trap ability. So I could just trap a whole zone. Instead of being like, oh, I lay one trap, it's like I have the ability to trap an area and anyone that goes in
Oh,
that
good.
zone gets attacked by the trap. So that was made that much more like understandable. Like you get a 30-foot trap, or you've got a like easy theatre of the mind, but also quite easy for like hand sketching a map because you could just, the guy just drew this very simple map and then place things inside of it kind of thing, and so it
Oh,
kind of worked
cool.
well. And because of that, yeah, it was really fast paced.
Yes.
Resolution of combat was so quick and easy.
Oh
It
my
was felt
goodness.
so much more like Vampire the Masquerade actually in terms of,
Yes.
I've never played it, but I've read it, and
Yeah.
that sort of, and it feels like not quite there. Like you could maybe even imply, apply the Vampire the Masquerade like speed rules, which is, you might know this.
3 turns and done, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this game could allow for that because of the way it plays.
Yeah.
But already I was just like, this is the good stuff, right? This is
good.
not only for like streaming, which I know I do a lot, but just like, I don't know. I think if you were playing just a short campaign, you want to get people interested in the game. It's like start a drug onto the old world to like you might then enjoy this and go, oh, I want a bit more.
Yeah.
But that's how it worked. Yeah, you just go and sit down and randoms join you, and they were all very like charismatic, happy people. So we were all so we just got, so it was all great. Like they were really good, like close knit group of people, which was really cool. And so they were all, and we were all, they instantly got on and we were having a lot of fun. So it was great.
That's really good.
Went really well. So I couldn't have had a better group, I don't think.
I was going to say that feels like a very positive experience. But I mean, that's the thing, right? I feel like con games, when you go try stuff out, half the experience is relying on the people that are there, not only just the GM, because they are a player too, but also everyone else at the table, what they're trying to get out of it. So that's really cool. And how long did that session last? It sounds like a demo thing. So what,
it
like
was
less
about
than 30 minutes?
45 minutes.
45, that's not bad. I was thinking like it's 15 minutes and then you're done. Cause it feels like there's a wait list to go try it out. Was that the case?
No, I just turned up.
Yeah.
Some people were playing it. They were having a chat actually afterwards. I just waited around. There was no list. This is on the Saturday as well, which is technically meant to be the busiest day, but it was very much like at the Cubicle 7 booth. To be fair, I don't know if it's a sign of its like how many people are aware of it, but the other game they were demoing had another demo table and no one was there. And I had looked at it, I was like, it doesn't look interesting at all. Sorry, Cubicle 7. It wasn't like, it just looked very generic, sort of Victoriana-y game of, I can't even remember it because it was
well, it wasn't what you were there for. We weren't interested
it wasn't.
in it. So.
But it was, I think, so yeah, it was, they were quite central. They had I must admit, actually, their stall was the least like graphically exciting compared to others. Like, it's a real shame actually, because I thought, you go to like Modiphius or who's the people who do Call of Cthulhu? Is that Modiphius?
No, it's Chaosium. And they're all similar names, aren't they? Cubicle 7, Chaosium, Modiphius.
Chaosium, Free League, all beautifully like decked out with lovely things. They just had a lot of just like the sticky board, the pin boards just up, and not enough pictures hiding just the very 1990s inside of a porter cabin, like when your school's got one of its classrooms under construction walls, sort of colouring. You know what I mean? That sort of vibe to it. And it was kind of like I was going into someone's cubicle, literally Cubicle 7, at some office building at that time. It was kind of like a little bit disappointing, I must admit. But particularly when they've got like really good art. And
I was
like
going to say the art's really cute. Yeah.
Space Marine art and stuff they could just chuck up there. Like it was really like, they had a big sign saying Cubicle 7 in the sky, so you couldn't miss it. But when you got there, it was a little bit like on the
underwhelming.
I'm giving them a really hard time.
No. Well, this is something I was going to bring up. Was that like I heard? Okay, this is obviously, unfortunately, I was not at UK Games Expo, but I heard like there was a lot of stuff about there was a lot of AI artwork on various stalls. I don't know about which ones or anything like that.
Yeah, I saw a lot in board games particularly.
It's just, here's the thing. Like again, I think people don't realize how difficult it is to be a good marketing without falling into certain pit traps. And I do think that these bigger game companies, like we've been looking at in RP Geeks, like we've been talking through some people with sponsorship deals, and we're going back to them with semi-reasonable, like if for it to make it work, we would like this kind of money and we could do these things. But obviously they're like, oh, well, we don't have budget for these sorts of things. It's like, well, you're going to have to find budget because, as we've kind of talked about it before, actual plays, maybe they don't necessarily show a really big, like, straight away, oh, there's a big increase of people coming to this Kickstarter or this, that, but it lives forever on the internet. And if you have a link, it shows over time, so it's not something where you need to make the investment in it somewhere. And I do think, again, I've always thought Cubicle 7, they've got a certain type of style. I always judge what people's websites. There's Cubicle 7, Modiphius, even Chaosium's websites are rubbish. And it's just...
I feel really bad saying it because they're really lovely people. I spoke very nicely to the PR manager at Modiphius very briefly, but they've got some great things that they own IPs from, but you You do. I'm going to go to their website now.
You're going to be disappointed by
I
some
want to be disappointed.
blandness. But also, there's a Chaosium. What was the other one I was thinking of? Renegade Games is also. They're not a UK company, to be fair, but it is just.
Oh my gosh,
generic.
Modiphius, dude! What is going on?
It's dreadful, isn't it? It's just a generic site. It's not. It doesn't excite you. It's just like, come buy our stuff, rather than like, look at these cool games. And when you think of like, that's why D&D Beyond works. Obviously, they've got amazing artwork. Exalted Funeral. Obviously, they do lots of designs, stuff like that. So cool and so interesting. And Rowan Rook and Descartes as well. They
go to their website.
Their website.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, they paid a really good photographer to do stuff with their physical books in person because that's the kind of vibe. But like, just look at how good it is.
Yeah, it's just having big, full, don't have white backgrounds, have colours, have big pictures, just literally it's simple as that. Have a roll where you get like rolling dice at the beginning.
I don't think it means anything, that dice. I don't know what it's for, but yeah, exactly that, like big pictures of things. So that's what's going to draw people in is the artwork and go, oh, I like Space Marines. Oh, that's Warhammer. You know, like that's the thing. But I am glad that you got a really good experience. Again, like sounds like the person demoing it, lovely person running, again, big improviser stuff. And also, it's nice that, as you said, talking to people are always at these cons are super passionate about games, and it's maybe intimidating at times, but ultimately, at the end of the day, there's that sort of like maybe not insidious thing, but that sort of thing where like, well, they are going to try and sell their stuff, but if they're passionate about it and they're like, hey, you like the stuff I like, try this stuff out. So it sounds like this person, the person running it, did a really good demo and really convinced you. Like, again, I don't know, is there a quick start out, or is it going to be released fairly soon? Do we know?
Well, I believe it's coming out in July. I'm just going to double check because they changed it recently, but Old World RPG release date, I don't know. I'm in contact with their PR manager, and I'm on the list for a review copy coming out soon.
Because I guess the stuff that you were playing was like a finalized rules. It wasn't like a play test where you gave feedback or anything like that.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
So it feels like it's very soon then.
I believe it's coming out this summer. I think that's when it's coming out. So yeah, there was no quick start. I literally couldn't take I got to keep the character sheet.
Yes.
But there was also like some information on my talents that I had. So like usually it just tells me what my talents are: set traps, hardy, and exceptional hearing. But the actual text for those was on like another A4, which I wasn't allowed to take away. And there was other pages that they had that they showed us that again I wasn't allowed to look at. They were like literally they just printed out sections of the book left there and then.
Again, I feel like that character sheet, again, obviously can't really show it to the listeners necessarily, but visually it looks very clean. And like I said, I gasp about like, oh, it's on one page, because I was on the other page, as you showed us some beautiful artwork. But I guess I hope, is that, sorry, again, it's Max, I said, is that all there is on the character sheet, or is there more to it? Because I'm just wondering if
I believe that is it. I believe that's it, because really it's just like, this your stats, your talents and your stats, basically. Lore, it's a little bit of lore, which is like where you're from, what you know about, like what you have specific knowledge about. So there was a bit of text on that. So I knew about the Empire, subterranean areas.
Mm-hmm. I could imagine that there is like a back page where you put your backstory and stuff like that, but that means that all the important information is on the front page, which is not the case with the old Woofrook.
Well, it's got contacts and notes, and that's just in one bit.
Yeah.
Trappings. Yeah. That's it.
So again, I think that's been promising. Whether or not then we're going to have the big old tome and it's going to be like, bwam, and like, here's all the careers and all that sort of thing. Like, it indicates to me, and like, we always joke about like how many bloody traits are in the Woofrook one, that maybe it's slimmed down a little bit. Maybe it's a little bit easier to manage. So maybe they've really rethought the layout and maybe the design of it. I don't know. Obviously, that's what I'm getting as a first impression. Obviously, someone who has not played it doesn't have a physical copy of the sheet. So I'll be curious and to see when it comes out if there is like the full-on book as always, or even like that starter set we always talk about. Like again, I wasn't the biggest fan of starter set because people seven always do that thing going like we'll read as we go, and I'm like going I need to know everything beforehand because that's how I read things. So yeah, I'll be curious to see what they come up with it because I mean from your perspective, it sounds like a very good experience, and maybe we'll change stuff. But whether or not, I guess the other prong of this thought I have is, obviously, I know there's a couple of Warhammer people in the YouTube community who have been in the past doing actual plays, but they've used D&D rather than the actual Warhammer books. And obviously there's been a bit of like controversy over that, but obviously,
Yeah.
but I wonder if then, if this system, it feels very straightforward. I was talking to someone the other day about how do we play these actual plays, like, like Daggerheart, for example.
Yeah.
Does it work for an online streaming, like or does it work for home games? This one feels like a really easy stream performance one as well as a home game.
Yeah, I think it really does. And I think it's exactly that. And I think you're right. Like, I even think D&D can be cumbersome enough for streaming, to be honest. Like, if you think about it nowadays. And you're right. And those people, the ones that are doing that was in the 40K universe. And I feel like I'm hoping that off the back of this, they actually think about making a similar one for the 40K universe. Like, or I would just use this now for 40K. I would just like adapt it to make that sort of that ability, that type of play, because I think it's a really great system, and you feel like you could easily just readapt it for that kind of play. It's the kind of system that I look at and go, wow, I could build things for this. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, that's really good. That's really positive. Yeah.
I think in terms of when you're saying like how like dense it is, it's weird. Unlike the last one where you get a big, super huge, thick book, just one fancy roleplay book.
Yeah, it's basically one of those books which if I was getting someone broke into my house, and I'd reach for that book as my weapon.
Yeah, I know, yeah. I mean, the only thing that's bigger is actually my old world rule book is actually the bigger rule book. But that's the thing. But this is actually coming with it's coming with a starter set as per, but it's but you've got also a player's guide and a separate game master's guide.
Oh, great!
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of separating things out now, just for ease, and also giving it around the table and stuff. Yeah, absolutely. That's really cool.
Yeah, but it's got less things. It's got only 30 classes rather than the 64 we had in the last one.
Okay.
Careers.
Well, D10s, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. You still got wizards and rat catchers, as we know, but there's like Wildwood Ranger, and there's boat hands, and then there's like you can play now dwarf, Bretonian, Empire, human, halfling, high elf, and wood elf. So similar. The only addition is the Bretonian wasn't separated from a Empire human, I guess. But I guess it just means you come with a horse, basically, from Bretonia. And yeah, exactly. And there's still slayers and stuff like that. But it's it does. Apart from that, I think it's very similar. Yeah, I can't see anything else out of it that's different. I'm kind of confused as to what you're saying. Like, it seems like it's something that's going to be much thinner. So I'm quite confused as to, like, they've made it a much more streamlined game. Why do I need 2 books now? You fit a really dense game into one book. Do you know what I mean? So that's it. So it feels a little bit like I'm going to be honest, a cash grab, personally.
Yeah, no, I think so. And I'm always for me. I'm like, the more books I have, the better. But also they do cost a lot more money, and maybe it is a kind of cash grab. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see when it finally comes out, and maybe we can return to it for a future GM's book club to properly go into it. Because it sounds like a really good experience, really good demo. So absolute props to those folks at the UK Game Expo Cubicle 7 stand. Try saying that 3 times fast. Yeah, again, we're okay to be negative on the marketing because that's not under their control. But it's always good to hear people having a really good experience, and so that clearly that person who ran it did a really good job and has convinced you to at least investigate it when it comes out further.
Yeah, 100%. I'm straight onto it. So I did UK Games Expo. My only other anecdote is standing at the Forbidden Psalm section. I told you the story already, but standing at the Forbidden Psalm table, because I'm doing work with Will, who runs that place, which is the Morkborg miniatures game, and none other but Johan Nord just turns up, and we just have a chat. And I'm like, thank you for buying my game. And it was like, oh, it was very cool. Thank you for making it. So I had that moment. So there was lots of little moments like that. There was lots of other lovely people. The people at Beyond Cataclysm were lovely.
Yes,
the people at
I've met them recently, yeah.
Really nice. Oh, you have? Yes, that's right. And I also got this game, and it's called Doomsong.
Doomsong, yes, I've heard about this. Tell me about it. Yeah.
Well, I saw it being played on a Warhammer podcast. People on the podcast work in the same shared workspace as the people who made this game. So they're based in Nottingham.
Oh.
It's very much my vibes. It's got like those kind of tables, like I've been doing, sort of things. Literally post-apocalyptic, as in the apocalypse has come, and it's very much a little bit like a little bit like the Parable Games one. I chatted with them. They were obviously lovely as ever.
Oh yes, the Menzies brothers, yay!
With their new Nuns with Guns teach
Oh,
RPG
it's yes, absolutely, yeah.
Sisterhood, which
Sisterhood,
is really
yeah.
cool. This one starts off with a story where the father of plague has come back and is setting plagues all over the place, and you are basically trying to endure this. But the character creation in this game, and I really recommend, again, it's definitely a Warhammer podcast. They just think it's funny that they've called it Jugs. I don't know why. But if you go and find them talking about Doomsong, they actually go through character creation on that channel, and it's a story in itself, and you can even die during character creation.
Oh, interesting. So a bit like
Which
the
is-
old Traveller way, yeah. Oh,
Yeah, so you
funny.
actually go through it and you choose your origin, your names, where your like place was, and then were you cursed? And if you are cursed, at the end it goes, do you want to be relinquished of your curse? And if you say no, you have to then roll to see if they capture you and kill you as a heretic, or you survive as a heretic. So you can technically die in character creation, which is kind of cool.
That's so funny.
So it's quite interesting.
Yeah, I'm just looking up on Drive Through RPG now because I heard a couple of people like, oh yeah, do something. And they had a really cool stand of people wearing, I believe, robes in some way.
Yeah.
So again,
The
that's how
only
marketing works. Marketing works. by
really
getting
great
people-
marketing, and the books are beautiful. They do them. They do like a gold foil cover one. They do one that they get two books with the same one, a very chunky book again for like it's like a big hardback novel size. They do one for their newest adventure, and they've like wrapped it up in lovely paper if you buy the book. But Fiona, 50 quid.
And that does not
50 quid.
surprise me. Does not surprise. It looks like a really again. It looks as Hamilton's holding it up. It looks like a book that you could pull off your shelf, and a nice cover and stuff like that. But yeah, 50 quid does not surprise me.
50 quid. I was thinking 40. I was thinking 40, and the fact that you can get the PDF for 20, honestly, I would say to people like it's a good book, but I don't actually know. I would say I'm finding it difficult to find the additional £15 that I would charge for a book.
Yeah,
You know?
I think it's so tricky because obviously, obviously publish printing stuff and everything like that. I don't know anything about printing and stuff like that, and like what's the worth and all that stuff. There's a big conversation about it, but I do think in my head you're gonna have to. And I know people will be like, "What?" He's like, "You need to raise up the PDF." Because like I'm currently on Drive Through RPG. For me, it's about £15, which is wild to me because it's 300 pages. I'm like, this should be realistically 30 quid, and then like you said, 40 quid for the book. Like,
I think it's a 25 quid, 40 quid is what I think it should be. That's what I would price this at. I even with like the covers and stuff, I think it's just a bit like it has got lovely embossing in it.
Oh,
and I
that's
think
very
40
nice.
quid is great for it.
Look at that! You got inside the dust jacket there. You got like a
That's a
printed.
GM screen.
Oh,
Yeah.
very clever.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
there's like a bundle just now on Drive Through RPG, there's got a big discount on it for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why, but it's about 30 quid, and normally it goes for 70 quid of both the main book and I think two other. I assume it's scenarios.
They're on there now.
Yeah, what I will say though, just looking at it, was that I went onto their page because I was just looking up as you were talking about the Doom song, and they've got like a actual play, and I recognise the people in the actual play as Flintlocks and Fireballs, which was like an old D&D podcast from ages ago. I don't know if they're still going, but they're doing all right. They don't really do much in terms of the actual play community. Like I've not really spoken
On
to them.
tabletop? Is that the one you're looking at?
No, it's on Drive Through RPG. It's the actual website. So it's Caesar Inc. is the publishing company,
Yeah.
and on their YouTube they've got like here's how to create characters, here's us playing, and the 4 people in it are from Flint, Locks, and Fireballs. So I'm just like, oh, I recognise those folks. I've met them a couple of times. So small world, as it were. But yeah, I heard that was a good one. I heard there's other like a folk horror one, which is like. Oh, I'm going to say Autumn Strangely. That's not what it's called, which looked quite good as well. Again, I was very lucky to have a couple of other people there who were sending me pictures of like, look at this thing, look at that thing. It felt like this year, as well as it being bigger, but there wasn't necessarily, everyone should get this TTRPG, or everyone should do this. Like it's been a bit quieter. And I wonder if that's because of the political climate that's happening just now with tariffs and whatnot and printing. So I think there's maybe, from what I understand, it was a bit more somber this year, perhaps, as a mood.
Yeah, I don't know. Everyone I chatted to, so I spoke to people at Parable Games, spoke to Hatchley Games, spoke to Keeper 7, spoke to the people at Peregrine Press, spoke to Beyond Cataclysm, and Grant Howitt, Rome to Card, all very positive on the front of the Games Expo money.
Good.
But talking to Grant Howitt, he was saying that the Kickstarter market is just feeling so like up and down at the moment, which
Yeah.
it's hard to, from my point of view, I had a really good experience, and it seems like the Mork Borg world is very much, yeah, it does look, when I look at some other ones, it's very hit and miss. It comes down, I don't know, it's hard to determine, but when I looked at, like, if I look deeper, and I've talked to you about a couple, which I probably won't mention on here,
Yeah.
that I think that have let themselves down, and I think also potentially people have kind of are taking it a little bit for granted. But I think when I was talking to someone about, mortboard products, I was thing on the Reddit page saying that like 80% of these now are just really great art, but haven't got anything to them.
No
Do you know what I
substance.
mean?
Yeah.
Like no substance. And so I think that's starting to become a problem. And I think the people that are, I don't know, feels like people are becoming, like, there's the Christian icon, and to Tanya Herrero as well, who does Pit Bloods for me, and I also backed their other one recently. Really good people like that are coming out and doing good stuff, and it's about finding those crowds, I guess,
Yeah.
within it. But I think, and those people seem to be doing relatively okay. But then I've had Will, who does Forbidden Psalm. Forbidden Psalm has done like Gangbusters, did Endless Horrors, did Gangbusters, then did this one called Childhood on BackerKit. I moved to BackerKit, and it was an absolute disaster because like it just no one saw it.
Yeah.
And it was it's a wildly different game to what he's done before.
Yeah.
But BackerKit seems to be a bit of a dead end, I think, for a lot of people. Like,
Yeah,
I think,
yeah, I was gonna say that's a shame because, like, obviously people still have some grievances with Kickstarter for various things. But if you've got a big community on Kickstarter and then move over to a different platform, it's kind of like starting again, as we've seen with a couple of places. Yeah,
but the thing is, Kickstarter is so much better at getting people to see your stuff than BackerKit has ever been. Like, BackerKit doesn't do enough on that
no,
front, no matter what they say. It feels like the only thing that seemed to be a real benefit for them was the Mothership month that they did seemed to be really good because that was about creating a group around something. But I think,
yeah,
if you go to Kickstarter, people just search Mork Borg and they find your stuff on there. And
yeah,
if you're doing relatively okay, and actually what I noticed really well on there is like, which I think was really good, even though it was of disadvantage to myself, I guess, but like Wraithborn did really well, had a really good first day, and we hit high numbers. But there were others up. If you search Mork Borg, I was like fourth or fifth on the table sometimes. I'm still on the first page, but there were others which had much less value, making much less money than me, not even the same percentage, wasn't anything about 100% or 200% their value. I don't know what the algorithm was, but it was still pushing them at the top of the page.
how
So
interesting.
you've got people that are making a couple of grand here that are still getting front page on Mork Borg when you search it. So they're not doing the best ones are getting right to the top. They're still on the first page, but they're not being overblasted, if you know what I mean. The
Yeah,
one who's got the most definitely always seems to be at the top, the one with the like biggest one, but not necessarily number one always. And I thought that was the
interesting.
key thing that helped me in my first game, I think, is that
Yeah,
my Demon Slayer was number one, if not number two, the whole way through my first campaign. And that meant I am 100% sure so many of my clicks
always
came
there.
from it
Yeah.
seeing it always there.
I'd also say, just to go on to your point about Kickstarters, yeah, like I've been very kindly in the last couple of months, I've been like the stretch goal of various different Kickstarters,
You
which again,
have, yeah.
which I won't mention, but when they've revealed what the goal is, I've gone, oh, I don't think that's going to happen. And usually it hasn't happened. And again, I'm not saying that the game isn't necessarily worth that goal or anything like that, but I do think to myself, like, what's happening is that maybe the price points are naturally what they need to be. We need to hit this amount to make it worthwhile. But because of this disconnect, as we were talking about, like physical books and PDFs before, I've gone, who's going to pay this much or get people to buy this book, which is maybe an esoteric indie TTRPG, which is maybe a little bit of a harder sell compared to other games, to get that much money in order for us to have a stretch goal of, say, me reading an audiobook or me running an actual play of this. Like, it's one of those things where I'm like, it's maybe shouldn't be a stretch goal. Maybe it should be factored in with the marketing at the beginning, and it maybe should be reduced and stuff like that. Like, again, I have no problem. Like, I'm very honored to be asked for stretch goals, but I look at these things and go, it's unlikely to happen. And that makes my heart sink a little bit, because obviously if I go, oh, I'm a part of this Kickstarter, and it never really happens, it looks like, all I've not done my job, or I'm not
Yeah.
which I know is not the case at all, but it's happened a couple of times now where I go, this is a really lovely thing, but we need to, again, it's setting expectations, which I know maybe isn't realistic in terms of money stuff, but like when you're like 1 or 2 grand away, people, in the last day out, people go, oh, we'll try and get that. But if you're even 5 or 6 grand away, unfortunately, you're not going to find suddenly a team of people go, oh yeah, I'm going to buy this very weird RPG that I haven't heard about for an actual play of it. No, so I think there needs to be. I think it's that setting expectation and just having a think and resetting. Because as you said, I think it's a bit up and down just now. I think also, physical games, like there's a whole stuff recently about Gloomhaven, the TTRPG, has been having issues about like tariffs, and there's been some really good essays by the CEO talking about like how they're going to manage it, because that's right now. It's like I would be worried as a TTRPG publisher doing physical copies just now because of the tariffs and like finding printing stuff, because that will naturally have a long-lasting impact on whatever you're doing, right? Even if it's just I'm producing tarot cards, I'm producing a tearaway character sheets, stuff like that. Because I do think there's absolute value in having physical books, even as someone who buys a lot of PDFs. Because usually, as I said to you before, I used to buy the PDF and go, I'd like this as the physical book. So usually I double up on my stuff, but that's why I'm like thinking to myself, maybe people need to slightly raise the price of the PDF and keep them in line with whatever the physical books is, so they still get that money. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's just my sort of thoughts on it.
It's an interesting space to be in. I think there's too many factors involved now, isn't there? And there's too many things just changing every minute. I don't know. I'm trying. I find it very difficult because I'm trying to think of trying to make it my full-time profession. And you kind of think like, how do you, it's quite worrying when bigger names
and you're also one person as well. Like some of these other Kickstarters have whole big teams of people. So
exactly. It's difficult. And like when I was doing, when you're trying to price things as well, you're like, God, it's constantly trying to figure out like what. How you get people on board for those you're talking about with the stretch goals, etc. is it's quite a complicated art, and I think, but it's definitely like it's hard to judge it beyond the fact that like it's incredible that I can go and do go ahead, have an idea in my mind, and I don't have to go all the way through to completion before I say, hey everyone, here's my stuff, will you buy it? Like the amount of benefit of having the ability to say, hey, okay, I've got this idea, I've got the bare bones of it, I've worked a pretty good deal on art and stuff like that, but I haven't done everything. Do you like it? Do you know what I mean?
And people go, yes.
And then you can go off and do it. It's really hard to not say that that's amazing. Do you know what I mean?
Like, absolutely not. No, I feel that. Yeah. Let me end on some anecdotes from where I was at whilst everyone else was having fun at UK Games Expo, and I'll be very quick on this because I didn't get to play any TTRPG games. I went to my very first Ren fair, quite close to me. Yes, let's start with the top thing. So first of all, obviously we see a lot of Ren fairs on social media. Everyone gets cool dressed up. Everyone looks super cute. And then there's always like some very talented actors that go around and do stuff. Anyway, we found out from friends of ours that there was a local Ren fair that happens over Memorial Day and then the weekend after, and then also back in October. And we're like, oh, well, let's go. And we went. And firstly, I will say, we didn't dress up, and that's not because we didn't want to. Both me and my partner, we don't really have dress up cosplay stuff necessarily. I used to cosplay a little bit back in the day when I went to Comic-Con and stuff like that, but I didn't really have the stuff. And lots of people did. And let me say, there was lots of really cool outfits there. The person that invited us, our friend Alex, he actually makes his own costumes, but they're not like, and it's full on like armor in quotation marks, because they're basically ring pulls that he buys off like a job lot off eBay and then spends months putting together like a full outfit, which are just all these like ring pulls from Coke cans and stuff like that. And it was really incredible because he put them all on. It took him ages to get him suit up, but he looked pretty cool.
Cool.
And his partner Morgan had a bodice that was made out of ring pulls as well. So like very light as well, like rather than the heavy plate. There was quite a few people, I would say, in full-on armor, and it was a very hot day, end of the 20s, early 30s. So even the people with the ring pull armor stuff was quite warm. There was probably hell on earth for those people in full plate armor. Went in, I will say, atmosphere was lovely. Everyone was super happy. Obviously, people are like in character and they're sort of like shouting out their wares and stuff like that. But okay, several things. Firstly, it was very much, what if we did MCM, but we did it in a field, right? And what I mean by that is that every other stall, was definitely like, what if we got all the crap stuff in crackers and just put it out for people to buy? So, rings that don't fit anyone, plastic crowns. What if we have like a walking stick, but then stick on a 3D printed D20, that sort of thing, and sell it for, not tons of money, but it was just a lot of tat. And let me tell you, the one thing I absolutely cannot stand, and maybe there was a lot of this at UK Games Expo as well, every other stall had these 3D printed dragons, which are clearly modular and they move around like you put them on something. And they had multicolored ones, they had different colored ones. Clearly, quite a few people have 3D printers and they buy like a design and they download it and then they just print these things out and they're selling these dragons, like small ones, big ones of the same design for about $30 to $40. And it's just plastic tat. Yeah. And I know as someone who is a big collector of tat, it was really disappointing.
It's even too far for Fiona. I agree. It's the thing about UK Games Expo that I do find slightly depressing, and MCM, and like all fair play to all the people that do these things, but my gosh, it feels like 50% of the stalls is just tat. Do you know what I mean? Like it's, and I'm even going to put in that, and hate on me if you want, but I do not need like 100 stalls selling resin dice, because your resin dice, no offense to most people, this is my spicy take, but 90% of resin dice looks exactly the same as everyone else's, all the other 90% of resin dice. Okay, yes, you put a couple of colors, you made it marble, you've done this, you've done a bone colored one, you've 50% of them have got the standard font for a start, like, which just look, and I just think we've got enough resin. The resin is a terrible product for the environment, so can we please stop using it? So there's that in my mind, but also like, there's too many of those, and there's a lot of things that I kept walking past, and I was like, hey, there was a huge area on gaming tables, which I was like, I'm not interested in, but there's a lot of tat like being sold. Like here's minifigures of some obscure
Marvel
TV
figures,
Marvel figures,
Doctor Who,
T-shirts of Marvel figures, and you're just like, you can get this from Primark. Like, I don't want to get it from Primark. That's not good. I'm just saying, like, it makes it really difficult to find the good things, particularly at UK Games Expo, because you're like, you just walk down a whole aisle and you start blanking out because you're just like,
you
I saw
can't
the
find
Drama
what you're
Llamas
looking
people.
Oh
right?
yes, Button King Games. Yeah.
That's it, right? So they were in a really nice little spot, right? Just between, but like in a really terrible spot is what I mean. They're in a little spot, but between a bunch of tat. And I only saw it was like a haven amongst the tat. So I was just like right in this corner where there was these awful casino style board games. And people dressed up like they were in a casino, which I thought was really naff. And you're just like, and then like some sort of like other game that was like, I couldn't tell what it was, but it looked like based on anime. There was one that was based on Squid Game, like Netflix thing. I think it was a bit further away, but it was just like in this corner, and I was like, oh, that's like actually of worth. But you wouldn't, like, I found it very hard to find, because you're just like, this is tat, this is tat, this is tat, this is tat. Just keep walking. Yeah,
because you don't want to be sucked into, like we had, and it was really interesting because like those other stalls we had were like, leather workers who had made like really cool, like I bought one like because my hair's got quite long now, so I usually put it up as with clips or something like that, and it was a really nice like leaf design that they put in. And that was really nice. But also there was like what looked like little cats' heads, which are coin purses, which looked really good. But then you had lots of foam swords, like horrific tiefling things. And it's because, it's cheap to sell, kids like it, all that sort of thing. But let me tell you, Halton, the biggest offender, right? Now, look, I can understand why people like rocks. I get it. Like you go, there's a big bin of rocks. You're going to put your hands in. Absolutely. There were so many stalls just selling like big old like crystals, like big ones. Yeah. But firstly, quite a lot of them looked very phallic. I'm not going to lie. Like they've just all sort of stood there. And also they're like, oh, well, this is a healing rock. And all that sort of thing.
Stuff like that,
and so there's a whole lot of bunch of fucking rocks. And what are you using? Because often you go into these stores going, I guess I could put this and this is part of my character, But it's always big ass rocks, right? And then, no joke, outside of this tent where they're having like magnetic rocks and all this sort of thing, outside there's a table and it said $5 for anything on this table. And it was just a bunch of rocks. And I thought to myself, this is just a big scam. I could have just picked a rock off the ground and gone, yeah, $5, please. Like, that's what it felt like. They were just, like, again, it was, I'm obviously joking for a massive effect, but I'm just like, going like, I could have just sold rocks. I could have made a fortune on rocks selling. And it just to go back to your point, it downgraded some of the really nice things that we did see. Like,
yes, it does do that, because it just makes everything feel tat. So you just start believing everything around you is tat, and therefore it's hard to see the goodness around you.
Yeah, there was a little pottery lady who made like little vases and stuff like that, and we all, maybe again it just shows how old we are and that sort of thing. Oh, vases, and we all came and we were like, oh, this is really nice, we'll buy this. And then next door there was like an artist lady who did like Shakespearean insults, but she painted them all and like those badges and stickers. We're like, oh, nice. This is very nice. And we're just like, oh, this is worthwhile. Yeah. But I will say my final anecdote before we end is a quick one, but it's, so obviously there's activities that happen at these event fairs. There was a joust, and we were like, oh, we'll go to the joust. First of all, we're all sat there, and the joust itself wasn't a big, long part of the field. It was like a tiny little area. So at first I was like, oh, we're going to have any real horses? Because that would be hilarious if it was just like hobby horses.
Hobby horses, or like those horses on like that you hold. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Or even like a panto horse. I had to explain to some Americans what pantomime was, because I was like, maybe we'll have panto horses in the 30-degree heat. Anyway, this lady comes out on a beautiful big black horse. And I was like, oh, real horses, etc. And so she comes in. Yeah. First things first, not mic'd up. So she's like, and you're like, can't hear her. Yeah. And she basically splits up the crowd. There's a lot of a pre-show amble of like, from what I gather, and this is me being very loosey-goosey, there was the true king,
right?
And then there was the pirate king. And we were cheering for our one true king's champion, who was called William. And the pirate king's champion was somebody called Sir Joseph. And they come out on their big horses, and they're like, again, can't hear anything. This takes fucking ages, by the way, to set up. And there's a bit of back and forth, and then it is revealed that Sir Joseph Squire is actually William's youngest brother. He has turned from the light, and we're there going like, oh, exactly, what? So there's a little bit back and forth. Anyway, so they do their final sort of speech, and so Sir Joseph, who's too far away, is like, blah, 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 and the whole crowd goes, hooray! So William turns to us, and he goes, my people, I will guarantee you a victory, because I have that dog in me. Which is a very niche, I would say, like, reference, an American thing. And I was like, okay, I'm on Sir William's side. It's great. He's said a modern thing. Anyway, they start jousting, and it becomes very clear, again, not only they're doing this very safely, but also these horses don't get to joust properly. They start running, and they're like, we can't do it anymore. It's just not long enough, the pitch. So they don't even get to, like, I used to go to Camelot back in the day in the old theme park, not the actual ancient lands. So they get up, so a couple times, not much happens, and they go, right, Sir Joseph, you've been cheating, and they get off their horses and they start with swords and swords. One of them loses a sword, one of them loses a shield, and then eventually they lose their stuff, and it goes, right, Sir Joseph brings out a big old hammer. Yeah. And because it's heavy, he's like, whoa. I was like, oh, big attack. And so Sir William's dodging out the way, and we're all going like, proper panto crowd. And then Sir William trips and is on the ground, right? So we're like, oh no, our one true chosen has come out. Yeah. And so obviously Sir Joseph's like, winding up attack. Yeah. And Sir William... So William's on the floor, and he's clearly doing something we can't see. And obviously I see this later, but it was just funny. And he gets his own hammer and goes up and hits Sir Joseph, right? So William's on the floor, big hammer. But it's a special kind of hammer, which obviously has a sponge with red liquid to it. So when it hits his head, it spurts. Oh, yeah. I genuinely thought Sir William had killed Sir Joseph.
In real life, yeah.
I was like, holy shit! I said really loudly. Because obviously he went and fell over, and I was like, is he dead?
Good acting.
I was so far away, that sort of thing. Because obviously I've been like, oh, I was like, oh shit! And they're like, hooray for Sir William! He has that dog in him. And I was like, oh my god, they've killed a man! Anyway, obviously I was like, cheers, cheers, cheers. And that was the end of it. But here's the thing I found out afterwards, right? not only was that a prop, they do the same joust 3 times a day for each day of the Ren Fair, and it is the same outcome.
Course, yeah.
They never change it, and I'm just like going like, bullshit. You need to spice it up a little bit. Otherwise, it's so boring that the chosen King's champion has that dog in him.
The Pirate King wings, right?
Yeah, exactly. But it was a delight. It could have been better. It was very American. In fact, it took like almost like 25 minutes of pre-show ads, then 5 minutes of the show. And that was it. Oh, the final thing. I'll be very quick about this. But the final thing was that I got scammed by a roving sort of fiddler person into giving him money. What I mean by that, there's like some actors going around or some musicians, and I want to say first, like I'm doing this in jest, absolutely, but we'd heard about this guy that was going around challenging people to name his tunes. If you name 3 of his songs, he would give you $20. If you failed, you would give him $20. And he sidled up to our group. Obviously, we're all dressed like normal people. So he's like, I've got a challenge. And of course, everyone's ignoring him. And I thought, he's not going to go away. Fuck it. And so, okay, I'll do it. And he goes, okay, explains the rules. And I go, fine. And he goes, what genre do you want? TV, film, Disney, musical, and video games were the 5 options. I went for video games. And the reason I did that was like, because I was like, well, TV and film, it might be really obscure.
So many, yeah.
There's so many. Disney could be a good one. Video games, because we had a big group of video gamers with us. Hamilton, I didn't get any of them.
Like, what were they?
So the first one, apparently, was the green zone from Sonic. I've not played Sonic.
Wow. Yeah, I know that one. Yeah.
The second one was, I believe, one of the tunes from Ocarina of Time. I knew they'd have a Zelda in there somewhere, so that wasn't too bad. And then the final one was like, he's playing this on a fiddle, right? Fine. It wasn't like, oh, what a jaunty tune.
Also, the conceit of you have to guess how good I am at the game is a bit like, the conceit is that, well, I'll just play shitly and you won't know what it is.
Well, that's what we might have argued about afterwards in the car on the way home. So the final song, he plays it, and obviously I have no fucking idea, and like, obviously no one else is helping me, because they're like, oh, well, you've put in it. The thing is, I didn't really care. I'm happy to give money, whatever, it's fine. Yeah. I was like, I don't know, Final Fantasy. And he goes, nope. It was the song, the main theme from Dungeons and Dragons, The Tower of Doom. And I was like, oh, well, of course. I looked this up later, Hamilton. It's a 1994 arcade game. So, and this is the thing. I suspect that this person who has probably done a lot of research into finding obscure tunes, because obviously we're at a Ren Fair where there's lots of other nerds that will know, like, Baldur's Gate and all that sort of thing. Fine. But I thought, what a cheeky fucking thing to be like, I'm going to go really obscure. Like,
well, that's it.
Maybe should I have chosen Disney instead, or films? Probably, but I was just there going like, I don't know.
Then you get tracks from like, this really obscure Disney film that they've had to like cancel because it's very bad.
Black Cauldron, yes,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that one is a terrible movie. Yeah.
So, but of course, obviously, and I said this beforehand. I said like, well, I don't have any cash on me. He goes, I do take Venmo, and I was like, oh, for God's sake.
Did you have to put $20 down?
So yeah, I bet again. I don't care. Like it was.
It's fine.
It's one of those things.
Good. I'm stealing this con. I'm going to learn some really
learn some tunes on like the Ocarina or something. But
exactly.
But also, I did think he was targeting us because we weren't in dress, right? I think because we was like, they're not full on nerds, so it was a bit of a shot. But I agree. Like, unfortunately, he was playing, and I was gonna. Unless I'm like, oh yeah, that toe tapping, whatever. Like, but also I think it's the high risk of like it is like a 0% chance that somebody would know all 3 of those songs. But I was like, that's cheeky. How have you played this random 1994 arcade game that definitely wasn't in the UK? so there you go.
I think you were putting on an accent. They go, oh my gosh, you're doing I did, because I imagine people at Ren Fairs put on the old, jolly, yay, oldie England.
It's weird. Obviously, because a lot of it is sort of based in like British folklore and obviously that medieval times thing. No, I didn't get any of that, thankfully, because that would have been really awkward. But it was quite.
Was there a couple of like, thank you everyone, welcome to? Was there a couple of false cockneys going on?
Yes, and no. It was very much the Americanized version of what a fantasy. So like, there was a mermaid in a swimming pool that's been dragged around a little bit. Like stuff that we don't necessarily get in the UK.
No.
Overall, it was fine. It's one of those things where I've heard other Ren fairs are better in quotation marks because of the more cool crafts. So there's like lots of people that were doing dice boxes which were made from like local woods and all that. Again, that's boring adult to me going like, that's really nice. So I took a few cards to look around and stuff like that. But yeah, obviously no TTRPGs, no board games or anything like that because it's a Ren fair. But it was fine. Would I have enjoyed it more if I dressed up? No, I don't think so. Because again, it's that sort of thing where I didn't feel like it just felt like it's just a nice thing to walk around, and it's mostly for children as well. Yeah. The food they did have those big horrible turkey legs that you could buy and eat, and I'm just there going, that's grim. I'm sorry, guys. Like, I want to eat just like they did in medieval times. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't want a food poisoning.
I want KFC. The thing that I think that would be something in America that would be probably like better than there's probably a lot of stuff, but I bet. LARPing is pretty good in the States. I bet there's some very good LARPs, but I bet they take it very seriously.
I think this is the thing. I've always been curious about it, but it's one of those things where
LARP curious.
I am LARP curious. Yeah, I'm TTRPG fine, but I'm LARP curious adjacent. Yeah. I think ultimately I would love to try it, but yeah, I'd have to have a decent costume. And I will be honest, I say this, LARPs don't always take place in the field. I know there's different kinds of LARPs and stuff like that. I hate sleeping and then dressing up as like I'd want to just arrive. It's very much I like Secret Cinema where you arrive as your character. You've come, and it's like that ease in and stuff rather than you are this character for 48 hours. But at some point I'd like to try it.
Do you have to sleep these things? They're not just a day event.
So sometimes they can be like a weekend event if it's like one of those fantasy ones in a field. I know someone recently who did like a Hobbit type one where it sounded very cozy. Actually, they had like a cabin or something like that, and they could sleep in their cabin or they could go do little things. But it's all very gentle.
The end of it, I wouldn't want to be in character for 48 hours. I'd like to be in character for like 8 hours, like a working day, and then we're done now, right, guys? Let's not.
Yeah, again, what I'm saying is that this could be a massive generalization. So please don't email us.
We're not all Daniel Day-Lewis here, okay, guys? Yes. We don't have to go full method to start working Cobbler Shop. Okay, we can turn it off at the end of the day. All right.
I think from what I understand, it can be like a festival, right? So but I hate sleeping in fields. It's just I hate camping. I hate being grubby.
I hate camping. Glamping in a cabin, cabin.
Perfect.
I'm there. I did that a couple of weekends ago. Fab.
Gorgeous.
Loved it. Yeah. Get me in a tent. No.
No. But there are other types of LARP as well where there's like sci-fi ones. I think there's the Big Smoke in London. There's a load of different ones there. So again, it's that sort of thing where a lot more of immersive theatre stuff is coming.
Oh, I want to do the one that was on PMG.
People make games. Our friends do it. Yeah, I've not done it.
Who you say our friends? You said who's the people who do it?
Oh, I'm gonna have to look it up quickly. Yeah, it's called Bridge Command, which is like the sci-fi thing, and you can go back and play lots of different missions. And if you go back actually with the same team, you can like advance your team through the different things. It's run by a group of theatre creatives who I've known done like TTRPGs in the background. I believe that one of the head folk that do it is someone called Tom Black, who's been around in the TTRPG sphere for a little bit. And there's a few other people that I know who've worked with it personally. Highly recommend it as someone who hasn't been, I will admit. But people I know who have gone and I've said, go try this out if you like. Because it's like an escape room-esque type thing, but with a bit more missions and stuff. And you could just play yourselves. You could be like really in character. You get jumpsuits as well that all fit. Absolutely check out the People Make Games video on it. Is a really good overview of what kind of what a mission can be. That sort of stuff I love because it's like you only have like an hour and a half as this thing, good. And it's escape room-esque. You don't have to worry about it. I think as we know from when we play RPGs, the longer in a session that you play, the more tired you get because you're having to be on all the time and be and like any social deduction game as well, you're like, God, I can't remember what anyone has said. I'm tired. I just need a break from it because it's not my real life. But I know it's one of those things where I've always been, as you said, LARP curious, need to try it out, but my own foibles of like, I like to be clean and stuff like that. And again, because I see LARP as like, you're in a field rather than like, you go and do Bridge Command or anything like that. But maybe that's our next big thing. Next time I'm in the UK, maybe you and I will go do like a LARP or some sort. We report back. So this has been really fun, just chatting about our con experiences and my Ren Fair experience. So
I will do it, but only a day one. I'm not doing a 48-hour one. I can't.
You don't want to be like? Do you not want to be your rat catcher in real life?
I just like to do it for a day. I don't want to do it for 2 days.
Well, Hamilton, let's wrap up this episode. Thank you so much for coming to chat to me about the Warhammer RPG and stuff. Tell me, where can we find your work? Where are you on the internet? And is there anything you've got coming up?
Yeah, you can find me as Theatre Macabre all over the shop, Theatre_Macabre or Theatre Macabre, or one word, depending where you are. If you want to see me talk a little bit more about the old world, I've done a little video that'll be going out. It'll be the 6th of June, so tomorrow, if our time. But then also what's on there, I've done a couple more kit bashes. I'm trying to organise doing a battle report of Forbidden Psalm. I'm going to go to my local gaming club and be like, hi, so I do a YouTube. Would you let me film? Sort of thing. So I have to do that, which is going to be awkward. But we'll get down. That'll be exciting. It'll be fun in its own way. And Wraithborn is just going on. I was showing Fiona some stuff in the background.
Yeah.
It's the next playtest material, hopefully be going out tomorrow. I'm hoping. But so that will mean that there'll be at least 6 of the classes will be out for people to have a look at. There's already 3 up now, and there'll be hopefully another 3 going out tomorrow, which include Wyvern Riders, which are quite fun. You basically give up your soul to an undead wyvern so that it come back to life, and then you can have it Pokemon style and like a charm. Like it got a kind of fun mechanic where it's like you get a little gem, and if you hold the gem, you can go to it, or it can come to you wherever you are in the world. And there's like wyvern maneuvers, like aerial maneuvers and stuff like that. So it's a bit of a weird class. It's like, what do I do when I'm in a dungeon? Like, how do I deal with having if my whole thing's about being a dragon? But there's things you can do that make up for it. So that's what I've been doing. Yeah, I think that's about it, really. There's not. I've got someone doing there'll be more reprints of Demon Slayer and Over the Blood Code coming up fairly soon. I'm just still waiting for the second round of proofreading to happen.
Nice.
By the Beyond Capitalism, and fair play to them, they've been trying their best, but obviously with UK Games Expo, all the con season, it's been a bit difficult. But Demon Slayer's done, so I'm going to start ordering those, and Over the Blood Code will be getting on order soon, but I'm considering maybe combining them into one mega book to get reprinted rather than having 2. I don't know, I'm in 2 minds. But we've talked about what we have been doing, we've kind of talked about this, but I'd like to know more about the infinite possibilities that held around the singular question, the question that can be held in one singular word of where.
Very good. Very, very good. I'm so shocked. I'm coughing. Where I am so glad you asked. So yes, What Am I Rolling? It's a twice-monthly tabletop RPG one-shot podcast, which you can listen to all over the internet and is on YouTube as well, and a little bit on Twitch. You can find where we've played lots of different games and interviews with game designers. As of this recording, we'll have a live stream, our 2-part live stream of Galactic will be up on the VODs and all over the place, which is basically, if you really like Star Wars, it's kind of that sort of game, but it's more of a conversational piece. It's a outside belonging game. And we had a pretty decent, I think, live stream of character creation for one of them, and then just running through the basics on the other, as part of and yet another Kickstarter that I'm a part of. So yeah, go check that out. I'm also one third of the RP Geeks, which is a nerdy TTRPG show which we stream every Tuesday about 7 p.m. BST, usually different RPG systems, epic stories, and funky lore drops. Every game we play, our unique selling point is that we do a little lore drop. We did our first episode recently of Urchins, which is like a kids on bike hack, and my lore drop, because we're set in Victorian London, was about, of course, pigeons. And it turns out one of the facts I did was completely wrong and false. I felt so guilty because I looked it up and I was like, yeah, that seems right. And then, of course, I double check it afterwards and it goes, there's been no record of this particular fact anywhere. You've made it up. And I was like, grrr. So always check your facts, friends. But yeah, go check out What Am I Rolling and RP Geeks.
Was the fact that the CIA replaced all pigeons with mechanical pigeons to surveil us? Is that...
No, that sounds great. No, the fact was, if you shine a light into a pigeon's eye, the light will come out the other side of the eye because they have a tiny thin plate between the 2 eyes, but it can still go through. Apparently that is not true. But I thought it was, but apparently it's a big myth that can happen. But I was there like going like, but what? But
why would you make that up?
I mean,
what I mean?
I don't know. And also, it probably is quite cruel to shine lights into pigeons' eyes. I don't know, but it was just one of those things. I was like, oh, maybe because it makes sense. They've got small bird skulls or something like that. But no evidence for it at all. So I'm sorry.
Kind of airy bones, haven't they?
So I like it. But the one fact I did have was that they have like tear ducts where they like some sort of mucus, so when they're flying they can keep their eyes open without the eyes drying out. So like, you know, if you put your head outside a car window and you're going fast, you can't keep your eyes open because they dry out. Birds, pigeons especially, have this little tear duct thing, so it keeps the eyes open as they don't dry out when they fly. They also, instead of eyelashes, they have little feathers, which I thought was super cute.
That's cool.
I mean, I could also, who knows about some wrong fact or not.
I'm not believing any fact that comes out of your mouth from now on. Yeah.
Look, well, they are descended from dinosaurs, and that's why they have those little feetsies look more like dinosaur feet.
That's birds generally, aren't they?
Yeah, I know, but like but I was like, oh yeah, dinosaur. Anyway, as you can tell, my facts were not very good.
There's that whole thing. There was like a big thing about the TikTok of like that kid who said it's a big turkey, you know, and he gets told off. He's like, he's fucking right. It is a big turkey because birds are descended from dinosaurs. So it wasn't actually a stupid question.
Yeah,
Completely, that little kid, facts.
Was right. Facts. Yeah. Facts. Well, there you go. So if you want to come for incorrect facts, that's the RP Geeks. Thankfully, I'm not doing any lore drops for a little while. I need to recover from my false information. But yeah, go find them. RP Geeks on YouTube at RP Geeks D&D. But what am I rolling wherever you listen to podcasts? Wow. What a great catch up. Thank you so much for indulging me with like my FOMO of UK Games Expo.
Oh, no, yeah. Well, no, a pleasure. And I was just really eager to talk about it because I was so, as you can probably tell, I really, really, really like it. I think it's really good, that old world RPG. So thank you for indulging me in waxing lyrical upon it.
Absolutely.
So there you go.
All right. Well, with all that out of the way, friends, we are going to say goodbye for now. I will see you next week for another episode of D&D. But until then, we will
see you on the flip side.
Bye.